Three, two. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Sideline Podcast. Today I am joined by my boy once again, Christopher.
Yo, 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 yo. What is good, everyone? Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Sideline Podcast, episode number 5, actually. Thank you, Adam, for having me here. It's a cold, cloudy Saturday morning, and there was even reports of snow on the mountain earlier. That's a little crazy. That was wild.
Wow,
But
I
I think
actually
the
didn't know
internet was
that.
lying to me.
Maybe it
I think the
was.
internet might have been lying to me, but yeah, we are here again, guys. Make sure you like, make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe. We got some NFL shit to get into. But before we get into that, Adam was drinking coffee out of a beer. Like, hold on. At Applebee's, those are called like Brutuses, the glass, like
Yeah,
the
like
tall
the tall boys,
24
basically.
ounce glass of beer. This dude is drinking coffee out of that. That's like the most disrespectful thing I've ever
No, you know
encountered
what
in
though
my
is
life.
I'm gonna call you a hypocrite right off the bat because last
What?
podcast, if you guys don't remember, he was like, "Oh, coffee's just like the craziest thing in the world, and like people can't function
Oh yeah,
without
yeah,
it."
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
this dude hits me up yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, you want to go get some coffees tomorrow before the pod?" I'm like, "Really?"
But did we?
No, we didn't because
No, we did.
I ended up making my coffee here at home.
I was testing you. It was just a test. Honestly, I go into Starbucks. I don't even know where to order. I'm like, what? Here?
What am
You
I
know what I
looking
mean?
at here? Now, my go-to
Dutch
is
Bros, on the other hand,
the
Dutch
vanilla
Bros, their
sweet cream cold brew.
lemonades,
It's so
from
good. Yeah, from
Starbucks.
Starbucks, it's so good.
Uh, eh.
Beautiful.
Dutch Bros lemonades, fire, absolutely fire.
The
Uh,
blended though.
I, th- yes, the blended ones. Good God, put some boba on that. Jesus Christ, you're in
Jesus
heaven.
Christ.
But yeah, so really fast before we get into anything else, Steph Curry 4,000 made threes in the career, and you know what's the
Congratulations.
craziest part about this is that on the Warriors YouTube channel, you can watch every single one of them.
No way.
Like that's yeah, dude. So they put a compilation video. But imagine the guy that was editing that. Like, dude, must have sucked ass for
Dude,
like a
it
whole week trying to
it
get every
definitely had
single
to have taken
three.
a whole team. Like there's like
Dude, it had to
10
take like
people.
20 people.
Yeah,
Like one
100%.
of them was like, "You work on this season. You work on this season. You work on this season." Like, there's no way, bro. 4,000 threes. Shout out to Steph Curry. Changed the game of basketball, the way it's played, forever. And my favorite player, like I said, huge bias over here. And they're 12-1 since picking up Jimmy Butler too. So watch out for the players in the West with the NBA season coming to an end. I think they have like 25 games left.
Sounds about
But
right.
we're already seeing teams starting to tank and pull players. So I'm excited for the rest of the NBA going forward. But yeah, let's get into it, Adam.
Yeah, so aside from basketball, there's a lot going on in the free agency flurry of the NFL. I don't know if you would call it a blizzard because
Wait,
there's not like
wait,
huge.
1 second, one
Oh,
second.
here
We
we
got to
go.
crack the celebratory beer. Oh, and I would say it was a blizzard, bro.
I don't think
Like
it was a
Instagram
blizzard.
was lit.
No, you know
Instagram
what?
was lit. It was
It
like every post was like something new.
it was lit, but like don't get me wrong. I just like okay, look at the names in free agency. Like Devonte Adams. Like great name out there, right? But he's not in his prime anymore. DeAndre Hopkins, not in his prime anymore. Cooper Cup, not in his prime anymore. You get the theme here, so it's like there's a lot of big names out there that are like signing with different teams right now or that are signing big contracts, but I wouldn't say any of these big names are necessarily in their prime anymore. Like for example, Chris Godwin re-signs with the Bucks. Last year he was phenomenal before he dislocated his ankle, but now, of course, he's a year older, coming off a dislocated ankle. I don't know. We're going to get into the Bucks later. We're going to be talking about the NFC South. We're going to be talking about the NFC East. But for now, let's go ahead and cover our bases with some of the major free agency signings. So we got Devonte Adams signing with the Rams. DK Metcalf traded to the Steelers. Sam Darnold signs with the Seahawks. Justin Fields signs with the Jets. Josh Allen signs a 6-year contract extension with the Bills. Myles Garrett signs an extension with the Browns. Bills sign Joshua Palmer. Pats signed Matt Collins. Texans signed Braxton Berrios. Bucks re-signed Chris Godwin. Chargers signed Najee Harris. Bills signed Joey Bosa. Cowboys signed Javonte Williams. Vikings re-sign Aaron Jones. Broncos sign Evan Ingram. Seahawks signs DeMarcus Lawrence, and the Seahawks also sign Cooper Kupp, and that was just yesterday. So these are some of the big names that we got written down. I didn't even include DeAndre Hopkins on
Uh,
here, but if you guys are not familiar, I do have the Instagram up for this page. If you want to go follow that at the Sideline Podcast, I'm posting everything there, all of the big name free agency signings. It's the side underscore line podcast. If you guys want to go check that out, link will also be in bio. Um, but yeah, let's get into it, Chris.
dude, how can you not say this was a blizzard when you were like, you named all these and you're like, that was just yesterday. Like, dude, that was an absolute blizzard of NFL. And dude, those are the ones that like people pay attention to. There's a
Right,
bunch that
exactly.
happen that nobody even like noticed because they just go under the radar. Like, I think one thing I said on the last episode was that Mike Williams was not going to the Chargers, and he actually did. He signed a 1 year deal to go back, so that was funny. But those are the little moves that you don't see, and then all of these are ones you make the news circuit and that people hear about. I understand, yeah, a lot of these players may be past their prime or already kind of towards the tail end of the career, but I think what you see from teams more than anything is their intention and their ability to go and use some of their cap space. Because you do see teams that don't, like AKA the Dallas Cowboys. And so they signed one guy, Javonte Williams. They lost Rico Dowdle. He goes to Carolina. So I think this is like gauging the intention of a team and how much they're willing to commit for that upcoming season. Obviously, yeah, great move. I think is a good move for him. I thought he should have probably stayed in Minnesota. I thought he did well enough, but that's for the organization. Aaron Jones back to Minnesota. Love to see it. Evan Ingram to the Broncos. Would have loved to see him in Dallas, but that's what I was saying is that Dallas is never a player in the free agency. Cooper Kupp with Seattle. That's a interdivision move. Interesting to see how that shakes out. But yeah, dude, that was all in one day, dude. This is the way that they like Instagram just like boom, 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 post after post. And you're just like Adam Schefter just must not have a life because is this post, but it makes this little gap between the draft. It makes it very interesting being made.
Yeah, in case you couldn't hear, I know Chris, you kind of cut out a little bit at the end. But yeah, you were talking about Sam Darnold not re-signing with the Vikings, and like he was a phenomenal player last year, and just for him to go and sign $100 million deal with the Seahawks, I mean, it's just crazy how fast the NFL moves. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Cooper Kupp was NFL Super Bowl MVP. He had the triple crown with Matthew Stafford, and now all of a sudden he's just in a division rival causing some drama in the NFC West. So it's crazy how fast the NFL moves, and like you said, there's a lot that we didn't even get to. For example, like the Patriots signed defensive tackle Milton Williams to a monstrous deal, making him the highest paid player in their franchise history over Tom Brady, which is absolutely insane. But it goes to show that those are their intentions. Like you said, some of these teams just have the intention of going out and getting these big names and saying, you know what, we're going to lock you down for the next 4, 5, 6 years, or maybe even just for a year, just to see how you perform. And if it works out, great, we'll re-sign you again. If not, then we move on. And that's just how the NFL works. But
Yeah, yeah. One quick thing too. Somebody asked me why would Josh Allen get a 6 year extension in Buffalo, and I'm like, why wouldn't he get a 6 year extension? I mean, like talk about franchise quarterbacks. That's the guy that you think of at the moment. And then the other thing too is that it's like he's never hurt almost for the way that he plays and the way they use him. They dial up plays in the red zone to use him as a running quarterback. And it almost seems like he never is hurt compared to someone like Lamar Jackson, who runs a lot more. You'll see him come down with injuries from time to time. I just think like that's a perfect example of a team's intention. Like we have Josh Allen here, we're not going to mess around. We're going to secure him. We're going to pay him whatever it takes, even if it has to reset the quarterback market. Buffalo just realizing that they have a piece locked down and making that type of move. I think that's good. work on the part of the GM and the owner to really solidify that position. Because Josh Allen, any team would take him at this point, really.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you take for granted some of these quarterbacks that have these monstrous deals, and it's like Josh Allen isn't even the highest paid. Patrick Mahomes isn't even the highest paid quarterback, and yet he's the one out here running the league. You know, everybody says the league runs through him, and it really does. It just he's in the Super Bowl year after year after year. He's in the AFC Championship year after year after year. And I think without Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, they'd all have a Super Bowl by now. You know, that's just my take on it, and they'd all have multiple MVPs. But just the fact that Patrick Mahomes is there, he's going to stay in the way for quite a while. And to sign Josh Allen to a monstrous deal like this, it just solidifies him in Buffalo, whether he was even thinking about leaving or not after his contract was up, which was still another 4 years away. But to sign him to another 6 years and then just lock him down for 10 years, that's about roughly where his career is going to end most likely. You know, in the next 10 years, I believe he's already 28, so 10 years puts him at 38. Like that's his whole tenure. You know, I don't see him going anywhere else. Now, if he wants to play till 45 or 42 years old like Tom Brady, then by all means go for it, but I don't know if he'll necessarily be with Buffalo at the end.
Yeah, nobody's playing like a 45 like Tom Brady. Like that was like that's a one-off thing. I don't think people realize that. But yeah, I think that takes Josh Allen up just to the end of his career. He will probably just walk away at that point. But who knows? I mean, 10 years is a long time. Even 2 years in the NFL is a long time, let alone 10 years. So who knows what could happen? I mean, you could get traded. You never know. I mean, the NFL is crazy. But yeah, just some crazy little headlines from, like I said, one day of NFL. So you have all these. One of the ones that you put down here that I was like, does it really matter? Is Braxton Berrios to the Texans? I forgot the guy was even. I was like, hey, nice to see you, Braxton. Forgot about you there.
You know, I did put it on there simply because of the fact that the Texans kind of need help in the wide receiver room. You know,
Right.
like
Braxton Berrios, though.
Stephon Diggs is most likely going to take off. He's going to sign with another team. He's a free agent after this year. Tank Dell is most likely going to miss the rest of the 25 season after what happened to him last year. So really all they have is Nico Collins. You know, and Nico Collins was great, but he got hurt, and who knows if maybe he's going to be injury prone or, God forbid, he gets hurt again this season. You know, they just need depth in their wide receiver room. So whether they go
Right.
and re-sign Stephon Diggs or not, at least that gives them some solidified backups or maybe even a wide receiver 2 or 3. And, I mean, Braxton Berrios isn't the biggest receiver. He's not a wide receiver 1, but, you know, he can do some work on the underneath.
Talking about last names that can what is it? Last names that remind me of cereal. Berrios.
Cheerios?
Like some strawberry Cheerios, like Berrios. You know what I mean?
Some
I don't know.
Barrios?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen in Walmart like the Halloween cereal? It's like Boo, like
Yeah. It has like the little ghosts.
yeah. It sounds like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Burios or like Barrios.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. But yeah, shout out to Braxton Berrios. We're not hating on you. It's just I thought it was just an interesting thing. Like, oh, dude, you're still in the league. Wow.
You're still in the league. Wow. Yeah, he was with the Dolphins before this, so
Yeah, dude. Absolutely getting no run behind Tyreek that
uh,
fucking receiving court.
yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah,
not gonna
dude.
beat out Tyreek.
So let's move on to the NFC South. You said you wanted to talk about that, and then you also said you wanted to get into the East. So let's start with the NFC South about Chris Godwin signing, bringing him back to maintain that partnership, which I really think has helped a quarterback like Baker Mayfield really settle down and become a better player because he has those stout wide receivers to go to with Baker. And if they can maintain that offensive output that they had last year where they were scoring so many touchdowns, the gas station.
Bucky's. You know, you were talking about names in the NFL. Bucky Irving is up there. I mean, Bucky with
That's a
the
great
Bucks.
name.
I think that's a pretty solid
Yeah.
name if you ask me.
Yeah, that's a great name. If you're the Buccaneers, you draft that guy based just on his name alone. You're like,
100%.
dude, it fits. This is marketing gold here. We just struck gold here. But yeah, I think the Bucks are going to be my pick to win this year.
Yeah, I think they repeat the division again. The Falcons are there though. We'll get into them right now though. But Bucks, I love Baker Mayfield. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. I would say fringe top 10, top 12 quarterback. I don't think he's in that top 5 category, but he's definitely top 10, top 12 for sure. Bucky Irving, I think he's also like a fringe running back one right now. He was one. I saw a stat earlier. I could be wrong on this, but 40% of his carries last year, or 41% of his carries last year, went for 5 yards or more, which is absolutely insane. He was one of only 5 running backs to do that. And I think when you're a running back that isn't a niche category like that and that can perform at such a high level, on top of the fact that you're only a rookie in the league, it really goes to show how talented you truly are. Because a rookie in the league is not something to take lightly. Everybody thinks that a rookie nowadays is going to be Jaden Daniels, where he makes that jump right away in his first year, and that's not necessarily true. Sometimes it takes years of development. Sometimes it takes a different team to do it. Sometimes it takes different coaches. Like Sam Darnold is a perfect example. He didn't do anything for the first 6 years of his career, however long he's been in the league already, and now all of a sudden 1 year with Minnesota, and they were just like, oh, okay, he can be a bridge quarterback while JJ McCarthy's out, and lo and behold, he wins 14 games and then signs $100 million deal with the Seahawks. So it's just it goes to show. Baker Mayfield is also one of those examples where uh, a rookie isn't always going to be that impactful, and Bucky Irving just shows how impactful he can be. In the wide receiver room too, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two very talented wide receivers in the league. I think Mike Evans is towards the tail end of his career. Last year, he was very injury prone. He missed, I think, 6 games or 5 games and still hit 1,000-yard mark, which is absolutely remarkable. He's tied with Jerry Rice, it is, for the most 1,000-yard receiving seasons in a row, I believe. So if he gets one more, the title's his. And then Chris Godwin, he just got re-signed coming off that dislocated ankle. Jalen McMillan had a great end of year season. If I'm not mistaken, I think he definitely had over 500 yards receiving. He had right under 500 yards. But that was just the tail end of the season. He hardly got any work at the beginning. And once Chris Godwin was out and Mike Evans, he really stepped up to that wide receiver one role for a couple of weeks. And I think there's some future with this kid in the league.
Yeah, he definitely benefited from the injuries that took place in that wide receiver room. But seeing that you can depend on him to step into a bigger role is also going to give you more confidence going forward for this season. Now, Baker knows that he has more than just Godwin and Evans. I think Evans is still going to have a very productive year. I mean, regardless of injury, I mean, it feels like he's almost always hurt, but he still gets out there and he still puts up these numbers. So I like where the Bucks are. Like I said, speaking of Atlanta, I do think they would be the second challenger to the Bucks. Though, pretty much the only other team that I would say can compete in the division. When you look at teams like Carolina and New Orleans, they're kind of bottom of the league teams, not only just for the division, bottom of the league altogether. But how do you feel about Michael Penix being set to take over the quarterback number one spot in Atlanta? Michael Penix, this is his second year, had a good college career with Washington. What do you think his potential is going forward?
I think he has plenty of potential in the league. We saw it at the end of last year. He played, I believe, the last 3 games of the season, or 2 games, or however long he played. After Kirk Cousins had a brutal stretch of the season, I think he had like 18 turnovers throughout his 11 games played, or 12, 13 games played, however many games he played. And it was great to watch him when he had that 500-yard game against the Bucks, that Thursday night game. I don't know if you remember that one, but it was a great game, and everybody thought, okay, this is the answer. This is what we've been looking for from Atlanta. They have talent in Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and even Kyle Pitts, and they were like, finally, we have somebody to give the ball to them. And then after that game, it's just like he disappeared. He only showed up against the Bucks. He had 2 great games against the
uh,
Bucks, and then he just disappeared for the most part after that. And Michael Penix really stepped up to that role. Everybody was thinking, what are they thinking signing a 36-year-old quarterback to a 4-year deal when you have Michael Penix, who's 24 years old as a rookie? And of course, 24 years old is super young. He's very young. He's got plenty of room to develop in this league. But 24 as a rookie, and you're gonna sit behind a veteran like Kirk Cousins for 4 years. That puts you at 28 by the time you start. So 28 starting in the league, that's not something heard of. But after his last two games this season, he played Washington and Carolina at the end of the season, and both of those were overtime games that he lost in. So to play those last two games and you didn't have a lot of chemistry with this team beforehand, and to go in there and be like, you know what, we went into overtime with the division winners of the NFC East, or the second in the NFC East, and then Carolina, who's a division rival, and division rivals aren't always easy to come by. Sometimes you might see a 12-5 team lose to a 4-12 team. That's just how it goes, and that's what division rivals will do to you.
Yeah, those division rivals at the very end of the schedule are always like those games are always very unpredictable, just because you don't know where the teams will be at that point in the season, and since they're in the same division, they're always going to want to beat each other no matter what. But last thing on Michael Penix, I like left-handed. I just don't know why. I like there's something sexy about it, you know?
There's something what
There's something sexy about it.
about Michael Penix?
About a left-handed quarterback.
Oh, about a left-handed quarterback. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't the first time that Atlanta's had a left-handed quarterback named Michael. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. That's why it looks nice. It's bringing back memories, you know?
It's bringing back memories. Wasn't Michael Penix like a solid runner in college, right?
Yeah, he's solid. He can move, yeah. Huh?
He only had 11 yards rushing in his 5 games that he played with Atlanta.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to use him as a rushing quarterback.
I mean,
Be
why
in the
wouldn't
fucking
you?
pocket throwing it. Nah, dude, because no, he's not Michael Vick's prolific. I mean,
Okay,
running in college is different than running in the NFL.
very true.
Big difference, especially for quarterbacks. And okay, and you would see that Bryce Young, bro. He was tearing it up with Alabama. That guy cannot take a snap in the NFL now without getting smacked in the face.
Hey, hey, hey! I don't stand for Bryce Young slander. I'm gonna get to that right now when we get to the Panthers.
No, I mean, I'm not slandering him. I'm just saying, like, you can see how hard, like, the gap is between how big the gap is between defenses in college and then
Oh, yeah, no,
defenses in
yeah,
the NFL.
yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
it
Like Bryce
not
Young was tearing up defenses like Texas while he was at Alabama, and then with the Panthers, he looks like he's lost out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce Young definitely had his humbling welcome to the NFL moment his rookie year, and even the beginning of his second year this past year. But I think towards the end of the year, he really got it. He really ramped up his playing style, and you saw it after he got benched for Andy Dalton, of all people. He gets benched for 35-year-old or 33-year-old, however old he is, Andy Dalton, and he said, you know what, let's make this work. So at the end, he really got it working, and I think he really knows what he's doing now. I think this year I'm actually kind of excited for the Panthers this year. I'm not gonna lie. I really love Chuba Hubbard as a back, and I really love Rico Dowdle, their new signing from Dallas. So I think that could be a really good 1-2 punch, like you said, an escape valve for Bryce Young, and I think it'll be a great kind of like chemistry flowing. I think when I think of the Panthers, I don't really think of 5,000-yard passer. I think of a team who knows how to get it done, who can have a dual threat semi quarterback, and then somebody who can, get it on the ground moving. That's what I think of Carolina, and a 1-2 punch of Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle would be great in Carolina.
Well, they're also going to need to upgrade their wide receiver position. If Adam Thielen is the best thing you have running out there, I mean, no disrespect to that guy. I mean, very good player in his own right, but I mean, that can't be Bryce Young's number one option again this year. I mean, last year it was, and that's all you had. I mean, if they really want him to need to get him, like I said, I wasn't impressed with what I saw out of Bryce Young last year, but like, I'm not ready to tear the kid down. He does need some more time, and he needs some. But yeah, once you get benched for the Red Rivals, that doesn't light a fire under your ass.
Yeah, no, definitely. It would light a fire under my ass for sure, 100%. But like you said, Adam Thielen, it's not the bottom of the barrel, but he's up there in age. He's entering his 12th season of the NFL. And 12 seasons for any position is a lot. 12 seasons for a wide receiver is absurd. Like, you think 12 years, okay, you're either thinking quarterback, you're thinking lineman, you're thinking D lineman, you're thinking maybe even a safety or like a linebacker at most. But a wide
A kicker.
receiver, yeah, a kicker, but like it's just for a wide receiver or a running back, that's almost unheard of. And for Adam Thielen to still be producing the way he is, last year he had 1,000 yards, and this year he only had 600 yards, but he played 10 games, so he was averaging what, maybe like 40 yards a game. Sounds about right, but 60 yards a game. 60 yards a game is what he was averaging. I did the math wrong there.
I just watched you fumble math hard right there. That was an easy
I
one
was
too,
like,
and you just
I was like 6 divided by 10.
you forgot to carry the one, and
Forgot
you
to
just
carry the
fucking
one.
you threw the whole PEMDAS thing out of the window there.
I did. I did.
Everything up.
I
But
did
yeah,
smart as.
where do you have the Panthers finishing? I have them finishing last. This year
Oh no,
actually.
I have them finishing third for sure. I don't think anybody. I don't think the Saints or the Panthers knock off the Falcons or the Bucks from 1 or 2. I think the
Right.
Panthers do take another step this season, and I think they could like split with the Bucks and the Falcons. I think they could overtake the Saints though. So like I think they go 2-0 against the Saints. I think they go 1-1 with the Falcons, or maybe 0-2 with the Falcons and then 1-1 with the Bucks, cuz sometimes the Bucks can be like a wild card. Bucks are kind of a weird team like when they don't have a good defense. It's kind of just you're either going to get 500 yards from Baker Mayfield and 5 touchdowns, or you're going to get 150 yards and 5 interceptions. That's just the way he rolls. So I see them splitting with the Bucks. I see them possibly losing out to the Falcons and then winning out with the Saints. So definitely third, but definitely not last.
Yeah, it's hard to call it. I mean, obviously, if you're in third place in your division and the Saints are right below you, I mean, that's it's still not the best place to be, because it probably means that in the division, Falcons, Bucks, that you're not a very good team in your own right, considering that the Falcons or the Bucks aren't actually like the cream of the crop. So I don't know. I think it's going to be another tough year for the Panthers. But moving on to the Saints, that team is in shambles. I think how you feel about it, but they are in like cap hell, number one. And then like, what's up with Alvin Kamara? Is he even like? Is he good? Is he still good? Does anybody know if he's good? I don't know if he's good.
When it comes to Alvin Kamara, I've never been an Alvin Kamara believer, especially like in fantasy, and like he's always been a top back. That's the thing. It just baffles me that like I watch him in game and I don't see him as a running back. I see him as like a wide receiver, like a slot wide receiver. So like I don't ever see him like sure he's done it multiple times, but every time I flip on the TV and Alvin Kamara has the ball in his hands, it means that he caught the ball. He didn't run through the tackles and break a 50-yard run. It means that he caught a screen, a bubble screen, or he caught just a little screen to the outside the tackles, and took it for 40 yards to the house. And he did that like twice against the Cowboys this year. So it's just I don't see him as a prolific running back. I think he's a great back. I don't think he's a great running back though. But in terms of fantasy, he's somehow always going to be there. That's just how he is. He's always one of those guys that's going to have the production. And especially on a team like the Saints, they don't have a wide receiver 1 right now. They don't have a tight end 1 right now. I don't even really think they got a QB 1 right now. I think Derek Carr needs to move on or hang it up because last year was brutal the way I saw it.
Kamara, best pass catching running back I have ever seen, ever. PPR monster, gonna really, that's where he gets his fantasy points. You were saying that you don't understand how he's relevant all the time. If you have a PPR league, then he's gonna always be there because of that. And then, like when the Saints get down to the red zone, they don't really have that many other options. So it's either him or Taysom Hill gonna take it into the fucking end zone. So that's how he maintains his relevance. But Saints, I don't know, man. Derek Carr, does he hang it up? I don't think he does, but I don't think he's the answer there anymore. So that's another team that's going to be at the bottom of the league for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this cap situation that they're in.
Yeah, Derek Carr is actually about to hit 34 years of age at the end of this month. And for a quarterback, 34 is kind of around the sweet spot of, okay, either you're going to hang it up or you're going to play another 5 years. That's just kind of how it works. So he's either gonna push it all the way to 38, 40, but I don't think he should, especially after what happened this year. I mean, he is still solid. He played 10 games. It felt like he played 3, and he had 2,100 yards with 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And you could say, hey, that's great for a 10-game split, but sometimes it's just not always what you see on paper, and it's actually what you see in the games. And a lot of people say Derek Carr was a solid quarterback considering all the factors this year, but I think considering all the factors this year, he should have been better considering his monstrous deal that he did sign with the Saints. And when you're a team like the Saints that signs a quarterback to that much money, I just think that you're looking for more production and more consistency out of the quarterback position.
No, yeah, that's a given, right? But obviously they didn't do their due diligence enough to where they gave Derek Carr this much money, and now he might not even be the starter after 1 year. That's what's crazy.
2 years.
I don't know, or 2 years, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, was he ever that great of a quarterback?
I mean, he had like what, 2 really good years with the Raiders, and that was about it. I think it was like that 2020 run when he had Henry Ruggs before he went to jail. R.I.P. Henry Ruggs.
Okay, hold on. Not
Okay,
R.I.P.
okay,
He
well,
didn't die.
okay, but his
Jesus
football,
Christ.
R.I.P. to his football career.
Right.
But
Adam's over here killing people on the podcast.
I
Jesus
mean,
Christ, he RIP'd somebody.
in the
Good God.
NFL world, he died.
No, yes, but
He died.
I don't know. I never thought Derek Carr was like, you know, the best, but definitely better than his brother David Carr. I don't know if you remember him. He was trash.
I do
He was
remember
the
him.
first quarterback for the Texans when they had their expansion season. Poor guy almost died.
Was he
But
really
yeah,
the first? I didn't know that.
yeah, he was their quarterback, dude. It was crazy. I saw
Wow.
him get destroyed daily or weekly
Weekly.
back in the day. So, but yeah, I don't know if they made the right move with Carr. They probably paid him too much, but that is what the market is. So you can't really do anything about that. But like I said, Saints bottom of the league team in my eyes.
Yeah, I think if I were the Saints, I would try my absolute hardest to trade away Derek Carr for any possible draft capital. I mean, I think that's just the best scenario. I don't think if I'm the Saints, I'm excited to move forward with Derek Carr, but I guess after signing him to so much money, there's only really one path that you can commit to it, and that's just kind of rolling with him until his deal is up and then moving on from there. Hopefully they get a sleeper quarterback in this draft or maybe even the next one, have him sit behind Derek Carr while he finishes out his contract. And then once he's done, you can say, hey, we're done with you and we're moving on with the rookie. And, you hope for the best in the next 5 years. I think if you're the Saints, you're not looking to be a contender this year or even the next year. I think you're looking in the next 3 to 5 years.
I think they need to go get Drew Brees back and Darren Sproles.
I think Drew Brees would definitely win that QB challenge. 100%.
That should be their game plan going forward. Can we get Darren Sproles back,
Darren Sproles was a beast. What you know about Darren Sproles? He was solid.
dude? I mean, so many people, if they saw him play today, they'd be like, "What? That guy is good because of how small he is," and then
That
they'd
guy's
realize, "Oh yeah, nobody can tackle him."
Yeah, nobody. Do you know how tall Darren Sproles is?
He was like 5'7",
He's 5'6". 5'6", a buck
five
90.
six. I was gonna say 5'6", but I'm usually generous. I'll usually give people an extra inch.
Yeah, yeah. Just that extra inch matters.
Yeah, dude. Everybody likes that extra inch. Nobody's
Everybody
like,
likes
no, I don't want one more inch.
I don't want
You
one
know?
more
No,
inch.
yeah,
One
yeah,
more
yeah,
inch never hurt anybody.
yeah. Exactly. You know what I mean? We're talking
But
inches.
I
Football's a game of inches, right?
football's a game of inches, man. But let's move on to the NFC East.
So stupid. Wait, is this the
Congratulations.
last division?
This is the last division. So after this,
So we've okay.
that's it. That's the end of the podcast. I don't know what else to do. We got no more content.
We just talked NFL divisions in the off season and just dropped the podcast. We're
Yeah.
done.
In case you guys aren't aware, the past couple of episodes we did division by division. We're covering 2 divisions each podcast. So if you haven't checked out the last ones, make sure you go check out the last ones. Listen to them while you're driving to work. Make sure you're listening to them in the shower while you're taking a bath, whatever you're doing. Listen to them while you're going to sleep. Maybe a little nighttime lullaby. But it's free to hit that subscribe button. It's free to hit that like button. Just hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you leave a rating wherever you're listening to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It's all there. You got no excuse not to follow, right, Chris?
No excuse whatsoever. Do people still take bath?
I mean, I would assume so. They still sell like bath bombs and stuff like that at the store. So
Yeah, but like, is a
I think it's
human
I think it's
taking a
more
bath?
I think it's more of like a girl thing. You know, guys like if you're a guy like over the age of like 12 and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go take a bath." Like that's just kind of weird.
I'm gonna go draw me a bath.
I'm going to go
You know
drop
what I mean?
that. I'm going to go soak in my
That's
hot tub.
crazy.
Like
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was just thinking about that. Like, when was the last time I took a fucking bath?
yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
The
I
la-
shower every day. Trust me.
yeah. But like I think the closest I've gotten to a bath in the past like 10 years has been a hot tub.
Right? Or the community swimming pool.
The community where all the old like grandpas are
Yeah.
taking a pee
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
100%.
All right. Anyways, enough bath talk here. Let's talk about the Eagles.
Enough bath
Obviously,
talk.
Super Bowl winners, right?
Yeah,
They
congrats to the
had a
Eagles.
very, 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 very convincing win against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So shout out to the Eagles. But Eagles fans are the worst, by the way. I
Yeah,
hate Eagles fans.
I hate Eagles fans.
Yeah, Eagles fans, especially the name that rhymes with Rick.
Or Rick, you know,
Yeah.
just any of those are
I
horrible.
just don't like the Eagles fans. And congratulations on another Super Bowl, but I can never go for the Eagles. I'll shoot myself in the face before I root for. And that's just me going a little extreme, but that's how much I hate the fucking Eagles. But congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I can
Job well
resonate.
done.
I can resonate with you on that. I mean, I would rather see the Chiefs three-peat before I saw another Eagles Super Bowl. You know,
I would
like,
rather put my nutsack in a bear trap
oh my
than
God.
go for the Eagles ever. What's the craziest thing you would do before you root for the Eagles? I'm not lying either. I will do it.
Oh
Somebody find me
my
a bear trap right now.
Somebody find. You know what? I'm gonna go on Amazon real quick. See if they got bear traps on Amazon.
Cabela's.
Oh, hey, it's Bass Pro now. It's Bass Pro.
Oh yeah, my
You
bad.
know,
my
I
bad, my
walked
bad.
in there. I walked in there yesterday. There's absolutely zero change in that store.
Yeah, they just changed the name, no?
That's all they did was change the names. And I thought that
Yeah.
we were gonna be promised like ATVs and quads and stuff like that. Stuff that they would sell at a Bass Pro. You know, like a real fish
Yeah.
tank in there. But same layout, same
Yeah.
people, same merchandise.
Yeah. Not too interested in Cabela's or Bass Pro shops, to be honest with you. I know,
know,
you're a big fan, but
I'm a huge fan in their hats, and that's about as far as I'll go.
you're like a walking Cabela's advertisement.
I really am. Like every day you see me outside of work that I have a hat on, it's always a Cabela's or Bass Pro hat. Like it's just a given. I actually just bought 3 the other day.
Okay, let's just talk about Cabela's and not the Eagles. How about that?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just move on from the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. What more do you got to say? Jalen Hurts, I guess he's an okay quarterback. Saquon, I guess he's an okay running back. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, they're okay. They're whatever.
Yeah, fly Eagles fly. Fly straight into a window, please.
Fly straight into a window.
I have nothing else to say about the Eagles. I don't want to talk about them, think about them, look at them, nothing.
All right, well, to skim over them, I think all of these guys are going to be top fantasy relevant production next year. Saquon, you have to put him in the top 5 after what he did this year. Jalen Hurts, you have to put him in the top 5, top 10 after what he did this year. A.J. Brown took a little bit of a step back, as well as Devonta Smith after what Saquon did this year. I don't really expect it to be the same amount of production this next year, but you never know. I mean, Saquon is just one of those unicorns, so maybe he does get another 2,000-yard season, or maybe he does take all the production away from A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, but Jalen Hurts and Saquon are going to be the 1-2 punch as far as I'm concerned in Philly. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, I think they'll still be a 1-2 in terms of A.J. Brown being a wide receiver 1 or just outside that 12 category. And Devonta Smith might be a little further back, maybe like 26, 23, somewhere around that range. But he'll be a wide receiver 2 high three, if anything, if he really does take a step back, but I don't think it'll go that far. Um,
No,
yeah,
yeah, I
that's
don't
it.
think no wide receiver three. No, no way. Wide receiver two, yes, especially in fantasy.
Well, like
Um,
in
the
fantasy, it's like 1 through 12 is a wide receiver one. So it's like there's only 12
right,
ones, and then
right,
13
but
through
he's still
24.
he's still a two, definitely.
Right. No, I
Especially
think
if
he
anything
is.
was to happen to, he's like a handcuff.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, he's definitely a yeah. I don't care about what's up. What's next?
Next is the Commanders. I would much rather talk 20 minutes about the Commanders than 2 minutes about the Eagles.
Just over here trashing the Eagles, man. Does
That's what we
anybody even
do.
like
You
Philadelphia?
know
Like
what? Does
who fucking
anybody
lives?
does anybody even like this division outside of the Cowboys? Like realistically, I'm looking at this list and I'm like, do we really got to talk about them?
Well, we don't. We are going to talk about the Cowboys because you're a Cowboy hater and I'm a Cowboy fan, so we
Okay,
have to
I'm
talk
not a
about them.
Cowboy
But
hater. You know what? Okay,
he
we'll
is,
get to that when
folks.
we
He's
get
a
to that.
Cowboy hater.
No,
Anyways,
not a Cowboy hater.
um, the city of brotherly love overrated.
Overrated. What even is
Just
brotherly
saying.
love?
Just say, dude, Philadelphia is actually like one of the most important American cities historically, if you think about it.
Yeah, but like they burn their city down after a Super Bowl win, and it's like I always see on social media, it's like if the Eagles were to have won or lost that Super Bowl, the city of Philadelphia loses no matter what.
Yeah, I think a kid died. Like he fell off a pole
Yeah, I did
celebrating.
see that. I think he
So
was like
there's
an
that.
18 or
But
20-year-old kid.
the next day, what they do is they party so hard that the next day they go and write the deck.
That they write the Declaration of Independence. Jesus Christ. Okay, on to the Commanders. Let's talk
Okay.
about another
On
important
to the
historical
Commanders.
Washington.
Uh,
um, Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal season this year. I don't know about you, but I think it was fun to watch. I think it was something that we haven't seen in a while. Something that we haven't seen maybe since the the emergence, not the resurgence, the emergence of Lamar Jackson. I think that's what it's comparable to. What do you think?
uh, that's a stretch for me. Simply because I think Jaden is still more of a pocket passer than Lamar ever. I think Lamar just he really relies on the ability to get out of the Jaden Daniels, even as a rookie, see him have more composure than that. Yes, he would take off, but that wasn't his first option. So I think very good production out of an SEC quarterback, which is something that we don't always see, but we are seeing more of them now. Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels. Now we're seeing these SEC quarterbacks start to come into their own. So I really like him. He's got a great future. Having Debo now on the squad to pair with Terry McLaurin, and of course, what are they going to take the top?
We're gonna take the
So I
top
think
off.
Jaden Daniels has a very promising career ahead. And I think so far in this offseason, and I do think they challenge.
You think they challenge what you said?
I say I think they challenge for first in the division
Yeah,
ahead
I
of the
mean,
Eagles.
a lot of people were kind of downplaying the season that the Commanders had this year because there was a lot of one score games that they won, or there's games that they won last minute, or there's even games that they won against a backup QB and this and that. But at the end of the day, wins are wins, and you didn't get there by luck. I mean, you could say that about the Chiefs this year. A lot of their games were one score games, but you just have to go back to the fact that some of these quarterbacks just know that they can do just enough to win. They don't need to have a 600 passing yard game every single week. They don't need to have 4 touchdowns every single week. You saw that with Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, these past 2 years where he hasn't been like a prolific top three quarterback, top two, top one quarterback in terms of stats, but no matter what, he's always been there. He's always in the AFC Championship. He's always in the Super Bowl. And these are quarterbacks that just know how to win regardless of the situation. And I think that at the very beginning of his young career and his his production that he put in his rookie season was just out of this world, I think. I think it was unorthodox, and I think it was the best possible scenario for the Commanders.
Well, the crazy thing is how fast they were able to shift the culture command into this season, and it's simply with just a rookie quarterback and a whole new coaching staff. And you could really see that sometimes that's what it takes to turn a franchise around a positive direction. But yeah, when you're talking about these one-score games, somebody has to win them. Yes, they're close games. Somebody has to win them. If you're the team that's all in those good, because that means you're used to playing in like situations that are adverse, and it's probably not the best situation that you're in, but you might have to come back in the fourth quarter and to get that win. But I mean, a win, and good teams figure out to win week in and week out. Shout out to Pat Mahomes, like you said, doesn't not throwing for 300 yards. He's just out there making the plays that gets his team the W at the end of the day.
Yeah, and everybody was saying like, oh, they won these one-score games, but then you look at it was the divisional game, if I stand corrected, against the Lions. Everybody had the Lions winning easily, and all of a sudden here are the Commanders, and now all of a sudden after the game, oh well, it's because the Lions were hurt on defense, and it's like, well, that didn't matter before the game. Nobody was talking about their hurt defense before the game, but then after the game, everybody starts making excuses saying, oh, well, it's because they were hurt, and oh, it's because they don't have this piece and that piece. And sure, I completely get it. It happens. You have Aiden Hutchinson, who is on pace to break the sack record this year. He had the most pressures, the most sacks after, I think it was like 7 weeks until he got hurt. And I mean, when you don't have one of those key pieces, how do you expect to win those close games when it comes down to your defense to win you your game? Because offense isn't always going to win you your games. There's a saying that says defense wins championships, and I believe that's true. But in this case, Washington didn't have a defense all season long. You saw that they gave up 30 points per game, 40 points per game, and their offense was just simply that good, and they were just outscoring these teams even without an insane amount of talent on the offensive side. I mean, like, you have Jaden Daniels. Don't get me wrong. He was a fantastic quarterback. I'm not downplaying his talent. But Brian Robinson Jr., I don't think he's a top 10 running back in the league. Terry McLaurin, I've always thought he's been a great wide receiver. He's just never had that QB play. And then outside of Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, there was really nobody. I mean, you had De'Ami Brown and Noah Brown, but they were kind of just backups. They weren't like competing for a wide receiver one spot. Maybe something that Debo might be able to bring to the table this year.
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason why you go get someone like Debo is to strengthen the offense, to give Daniel some more weapons around him. Because look at what he did with a bare cupboard, stock that cupboard with skill players. The ceiling for him really goes even higher at that point. And it's crazy because if you compare Lions roster, the Lions roster is by far the superior roster, but it doesn't matter because when you get into the playoffs, about which is something that the Commanders were able to do, which is why they got further than the Lions did. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy that, like, even though their roster's not the best, if you just have the right pieces in place, you can still turn out and win those important.
Yeah, I've actually heard trade rumors, going back to the NFC South, that Kyle Pitts might be a key player that they go and trade for either this season or next season. And I think Kyle Pitts would be great after Zach Ertz. So they re-signed Zach Ertz, so I think it was only a 1-year deal. But that puts it in a perfect spot to where Zach Ertz leaves and you bring in a key player like Kyle Pitts. And maybe Kyle Pitts isn't the problem. Maybe it's his QB play. So depending on how he does with Michael Penix this year, the Commanders could be like, you know what? He didn't perform for a third year in a row. His asking price should be much lower than what it was 2-3 years ago. And we can go and get somebody like that. And he's 5 years in the league, only 25, 26 years old at the time. And then you bring him in and you've got 5, 6, 7, 10 years out of him because tight ends are known to play until their late 30s, sometimes even, well, I think late 30s is about how far they push it. But 30 years old for a tight end is not unheard of. So if you can get 6 years out of Kyle Pitts, I think that would be a great move for the Commanders.
One last thing on tight ends. I think tight ends benefit more from an offense that is designed to give them. So a lot of offenses don't utilize tight ends. So that's where you could see like somebody like Pitts, his production's not there. But if he was like the Patriots love their tight. Under Belichick, they love. You could run and play both of them fantasy, and they would both do decent. Like I think the tight end position really is dictated on how your coaching staff values the position. To me,
Right, no, I highly agree. I mean, in New England, you had you had Gronk, and then you also had Aaron Hernandez at the beginning of his career, and you saw what they were able to do as a 1-2 punch. And everybody saw Gronk as the backup. Everybody saw Aaron Hernandez as the tight end one in New England. And then after everything happened, they were like, okay, like Gronk is still solid, but he's not going to be this generational talent that Aaron Hernandez was. And sure enough, I mean, Gronk is in the running for Hall of Fame now, you know? So it's just like it goes to show that it depends on your QB play. Like, I mean, Tom Brady's obviously the best quarterback, and then you have a system with Bill Belichick in New England, and you even saw it this past year without Bill Belichick that they were getting Hunter Henry the ball. You know, they didn't really have a tight end. I mean, a wide receiver one, or their running back room is a little shaky, but their tight end play was probably the strongest out of all of them, and that says a lot considering their offensive weapons, air quotes, that they have right now.
right? Or the lack of
The
weapons that they
yeah,
have to
right.
say
The lack of
to say it better. But like that's what I'm saying is that like a team like Dallas, they love their tight ends. Anybody that's on that roster, they're gonna get it to have a good chance of being a productive tight end. But that's not the case for every team. Some coaches don't. To them, the tight end is just another offensive lineman. You know, somebody to
right.
steal the edge. You know what I mean? So um, that's what really dictates how a tight end is going to perform based on what the coaching staff sees that potential or what sees that position, what like the role they play within the offense. But I don't know. Let's go on. Cowboys. Demarcus Lawrence actually moves on and signs with the Seahawks. And then I don't know if you saw him and Micah Parsons getting into Twitter a little bit.
Yeah, they were
I
beefing
kind of
on
didn't
Twitter a little
understand
bit.
what it was about. Dude, just let him go. Wants to go. He wants to go. You know what I mean? It's you're grown ups, you're adults. I mean, like handle it in person. Don't go on Twitter and start tweeting at each other.
Ye-
Dak will be back, obviously. Hopefully, stay healthy. There's no guarantee that that's going to be the case because we've seen injuries with Dak in the past. They signed Javonte Williams for Broncos. I don't know if that really does for the running back position. Is that upgrade from Rico Dowdle? Is it a downgrade? Is it a linear shift? You know what I mean? And then who else besides CeeDee Lamb is going to be there for the ball? Brandon Cooks probably will not be back. So that's interesting to see how they fill in those positions on the offensive side. And then also they need to shore up the secondary and their linebacker play outside of Parsons or Overshown was very. Thoughts on the Cowboys over?
Yeah, I think okay, first of all, I'm going to get this. I'm going to clear the air with this. I think Dak Prescott is the most overhated quarterback in the league. Not overrated,
Overhated?
overhated. And
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
dude, anytime you're the Cowboys quarterback, you're gonna catch a lot of
but you
heat.
know what? Here's my problem is like, okay, I get it. He's the highest paid quarterback and he should be performing at Super Bowl level. I get all that talk. But aside from his contract, I think his talent is up there in the top in the top category of quarterbacks that are active in the league right now. I'm not talking all
He's tier
time.
one.
Yes, he's a tier 1 quarterback. I think he's better than someone like Kyler Murray, right?
Oh yes, by
I
far.
don't think he's better than Joe Burrow, but I think he's better than someone like Kyler Murray. I think he's better than someone like Sam Darnold. I think he's better than someone like Kirk Cousins. You know, so it's just like there's quarterbacks that I would absolutely take over him, but there's also quarterbacks where I'm like I wouldn't even think twice about having him over Dak Prescott. If you gave me Tua and Dak in the same room, I'm taking Dak 10 out of 10 times. Like that's just how it rolls with Dak. And I think his talent is there. I think he is a tier 1 quarterback, like you said. Even in fantasy, he can be a tier 1 quarterback. Granted, yes, you said he's very injury prone. He's had his fair share of injuries. His hamstring, which was the most recent of all of them, that kept him out of, I believe it was 7 games that he missed this year. But he did have a lot of struggle this year. There wasn't any weapons, like you said. You have CeeDee Lamb, and Jake Ferguson is more of like a safety blanket. You know, Brandon Cooks was hurt as well this year, so he missed a lot of time. He was on IR for a couple weeks. But outside of CeeDee Lamb, there's really nobody in this wide receiver room. I mean, you have Jonathan Mingo, who they traded a fifth round pick for earlier, or fourth round pick, and he literally got zero play. Like, I don't even know if he had over 100 receiving yards the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't even remember seeing him get a lot of run, if any,
Yeah,
actually.
and then Brandon Cooks is already at the end of his career. I think he moves on. Jalen Tolbert was a solid number two option. I don't even think I would consider him a wide receiver two. I think he's just a
Yeah, he's
second
not it.
option. Right. I even
No,
think
he
he's
was
the
just a
third
body to
option.
throw out there.
Right. I think he's third option behind Lamb and Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is still young. He's 26 years old. I think he's going to be okay this year. I think if Dak Prescott's healthy, I think this offense is still in contention for playoffs no matter what anybody says. When you have Prescott at quarterback, you're always in play for or you're always in contention for playoffs. And I've said it before and I'll say it again that I think the biggest Dak haters are Cowboys fans. And that's just it's it's proven.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it goes with the, like I said, it goes with the position of being the quarterback for the Cowboys. Yeah, that goes with the position of being the Cowboys quarterback. When you're doing good, the world is in your hands. Everybody loves you. When you're doing bad, everybody hates you. That's just part of it. I mean, you are the face of the franchise in Dallas if you're the quarterback, and you're also the face of the league, really, because everybody watches the Cowboys, and that's just how it goes. But Dak is a very talented quarterback. I don't think Jerry Jones has put the necessary pieces around him. But also, when the defense is as bad as they were this year, it doesn't matter what Dak and the offense do because once they get to the playoffs, that defense is going to get exposed like it always does.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of it. I think their defense has always been great under oh man, what's his name? Defensive coordinator that moved to Washington.
Oh yeah, the head coach now,
Yeah. Oh,
Campbell, Dan
no.
Campbell.
No. That's the
No,
Lions. Wow, we can't think
sorry,
of his name.
I'm blanking on his name. I can see his bald head.
I
He
can
looks
see
good
his
too, by
bald
the way.
head. You know, he's actually I think
Yeah,
he's only like 60. Oh, I say only, but like for a head coach that's decent.
yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, Pete Carroll's like 75, still fucking
I
out there
think he's
coaching.
73. Dan Quinn is his name.
Dan Quinn. I was close.
Yeah.
Dan
Yeah,
head
Dan
with
Campbell,
Dan.
Dan Quinn.
Cam,
At least you
same
got the
you
first
know.
name right.
Yeah, I mean, who cares, right? He's not a coach for us anymore, so
He's not a
good
coach for.
riddance. He
I
goes to
think
Washington and just turns them around right away.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I even told people before, I was like, I think what they should do is move on from Mike McCarthy and move on with Dan Quinn as head coach. And we've seen it multiple times throughout the league where a defensive minded head coach will take you further than an offensive minded head coach. And we've seen it over and over and over and over and over. You have people like Andy Reid, who you may not have star studded players on defense at every single position, but guess what? They're winning you championships. Bill Belichick, they're winning you championships. Pete Carroll, they're winning you championships. And these coaches are it's like 51-50 sometimes. Sometimes it's 90-10 when it comes to defense over offense. And those defenses will win you championships because even though your offense might not be as good as it should be, your defense is going to keep you in those games, and it's going to at least give your offense a shot to win that game. Whether it's in overtime, whether it's at the very end with a comeback, whether whatever it could be, an offensive or a defensive interception to seal the game. It just happens over and over and over, and we've seen it multiple times. But Javonte Williams, I think he was an okay signing. It's more of like a lateral to a downgrade. I don't think it can be an upgrade. I think it is lateral to downgrade. Um, but he's still very young, and that's what people don't see is that he's only 24 years old. I think he's got 3 years underneath his belt already, 4 years underneath his belt, and he's only 24 years old. So same situation as Kyle Pitts. He had a great first year, and then if I'm not mistaken, I think his second year is when he tore his ACL, and he just hasn't been the same since. But that's what happens in the NFL is you get hurt and sometimes you don't come back the same. But hopefully maybe when in a different offense and a different scheme, maybe even behind that different line, you get more production out of him. Maybe he's a 1,000-yard rusher again if they don't draft another running back.
I think they have to draft another running back.
I think they
Dallas
have
is
to, but I don't
usually
think they will.
Yeah, Dallas is usually a team that has more than one running back in the room. They usually like to have at least two that consistently use. So I do think that if it's not a priority, well, I think it is a priority in the draft because you see they already signed one in free agency, right? So that means that they know their running back room is not complete. So I do see them taking a back at some point. Because yeah, like I mean, they need to Dak every opportunity to win because being the highest paid quarterback in the league, if you're spending all that money on the quarterback, then you would expect the team to be successful as well. So I don't know, same old for the Cowboys again.
Yeah, it's same old, but like you said
Yeah,
about the
I feel
running
like
backs, I feel like they've always had a solid running back, but over the course of like the past 3 years, I think just their scheming around the running back has not been there. They had Zeke, they gave him away to the Patriots, or not gave him away, but he went to the Patriots. He had a productive year with the Patriots, like fantasy relevancy. I remember I had him in fantasy that year, and he was pretty solid after a couple weeks when I think Ramondre went down with an injury, and that's why he was productive. And then he comes back to the Cowboys and he was unproductive. And then they had Tony Pollard that year. He was okay with the Cowboys, and then he goes with the Titans. And even though he was hurt with the Titans, he was very productive. And then you might see the same thing again this year with Rico Dowdle. He had 1,000 yards with the Cowboys, and then he goes to the Panthers, and he is going to be RB2 behind Chuba Hubbard. But even though, I mean, I think he could still be very productive with Chuba Hubbard. They don't have a, a wide receiver room or a big wide receiver room. So a wide receiver room. So I think there's going to be a lot of
couldn't
running
choose
back
any
play.
other word.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just the first word. Wide.
Wide.
Some alliteration points
Double
there.
wide.
Double wide.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, Dallas is usually good at producing running backs, right? You said Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle, Zeke, even. I thought Pollard should have stayed. Well, it's not up to him, but I think they should have him because I do think he was explosive enough, and then just teamed him up with Dowdle again. They let him go, get 100-yard, 1,000-yard rushing season, and then now he moves on. Kind of similar to what Tony Pollard did. But yeah, like we said, same old with the Cowboys. Let's talk about the Giants really fast. I don't even know who the quarterback is going to be for the Giants at this point.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they have a quarterback signed on their depth chart right now.
They have to. There's no
I
way.
I genuinely don't think they have a quarterback under
They
contract.
have to. There's no way.
Swear.
You can't not have a quarterback.
It's possible.
They're like,
Okay.
no, we don't need one.
So my bad. They re-signed Tommy DeVito, but before they
Okay,
re-signed,
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say DeVito's probably still there somewhere.
Right.
He's hanging out eating a sandwich somewhere.
his salami or whatever they eat. What is
Yeah,
he? He's Italian, right?
That's what he's.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's eating. He's eating one of the spicy Italians from Subway.
From Subway.
Yeah, because he can't afford like Jersey Mike's because he's not.
You think he goes cross state and goes and gets like a Philly cheesesteak every now and then?
Oh yeah, dude, I would.
Yeah, I would too. But
big sandwich guy.
when it comes to the Giants, there's nothing flattering about this team right now. I think the most flattering piece is Malik Neighbors. So I think Malik Neighbors is such a difference maker on a team that it's enticing for a quarterback to be like, you know what? Maybe I do want to go play for the Giants. There's a future with Malik Neighbors and with Tyrone Tracy. I don't know if you know this about Tyrone Tracy, but in college he was actually a wide receiver, and he was told, you know what? We're not going to play you as a wide receiver in the NFL. We're going to play you at running back because of your stature. And for him, it was either I play running back or I don't play at all. So he accepted his fate and he plays running back. And he's a damn good running back, if you ask me. I think he was phenomenal this year. He had just under 1,000 yards. I think he did miss a little bit of time. No, he actually played 17 games. Never mind. But, I mean, to have a 900-yard season, that's still solid. He only had 5 touchdowns on the ground. But receiving, he had 300 yards, 40 receptions, and a touchdown. So I think that's great in terms of receiving. To have a running back that played wide receiver in college, I think that's just great because you can use him as a safety valve or as a safety blanket on the outside, whether it's a screen or whether it's just a little dump off when you don't have anybody open downfield.
Well, shout out to Cordero Patterson, one of the first wide receivers make the transition. It is doable. You have to have the speed, number one. And then the tackles and to catch the ball. I mean, obviously, if they're a wide receiver, the catching part, but still having the ability to read the defense and knowing which cuts to make. I mean, it is cool to see it. But yeah, Tracy did have himself a great year, and then Malik, another solid wide receiver from LSU, wide receiver U. That's what I call it because they just pop these guys out like nothing, and he's a mini Justin Jefferson at the moment. Just needs time, and he just needs a solid quarterback, which hopefully, like you said, is enticing somebody to go into New York and play with them and help. Talent for neighbors. The Giants also one of those teams that I feel is at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, I think they're not in contention for playoffs right now, or at least in the next 2 years for sure. It's hard when you have a division with the Eagles, who somehow are always there. They had one down year in the past like 6 years, and they made two Super Bowls. You know, so when you go from Carson Wentz to Nick Foles to Jalen Hurts over the course of 6 years, and you make two Super Bowls, like I think that's absolutely crazy. But I mean, they stacked their team.
Jesus.
I had a little bit of a brain
Jesus
fart.
Christ.
They stacked their team with enough talent at each position to be okay with like a revolving door of quarterbacks over the course of 6 years, and now they finally have their franchise guy in Jalen Hurts. But they went and they got Saquon last year from the Giants, and the fact that the Giants did not pay him is just absolutely absurd to me. I think if you have Saquon there and if you have Malik Neighbors there, you've got an offense. You know, all you need is a quarterback from the draft, and you go and you get a great offensive tackle, or you go and you get another wide receiver, or you get a strong defensive player, and that's a team right there. You know, you don't have there's no more Eagles Super Bowl. You know, now you have maybe the Giants in number 2 or the number 3 spot competing with the Commanders and the Eagles, and maybe you knock the Cowboys all the way down to the last spot. But it's just it's a what if. It's a game of what if, you know.
Somebody in the Giants organization was like, you know who we should pay? Daniel Jones. And they did that, and they let Saquon walk, which is absolutely crazy. But I think that's the biggest takeaway for Philly is that signing, because that's what ultimately put them over.
Can you repeat that?
I think the Saquon signing really pushed Philly over the edge this year.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's all what it comes down to. Because without him, they were still good, but with him, they were just elite, and that's kind of what made the difference this year.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you get a player like Saquon is you go from a great team to an elite team. You know, and players like that will absolutely push you over the top. Sure, it's the NFL. It's not the NBA where you have 1-2 good players and you're in contention for a title. You know, in the NBA, you got 1-2 really great players on your team and you're title contenders. In the NFL, you got 1-2 good players, you're still a couple key pieces away from even playoff contention. You know, and that's just how it rolls in the NFL. But when you have a good team already and you go and you get a difference maker like Saquon, I think it absolutely pushes you over the top.
Yep, and that's exactly what they did. And look, they were one running back away from a Super Bowl championship.
Yep.
And that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. But I think
Shout
that
out New
does
York,
it.
by the way. Shout out New York for being the biggest city that has two of the worst teams in the entire sport.
No kidding. And
Shout out to them.
That's not even to mention their basketball teams, and I mean their basketball teams are okay. I mean,
Yeah, they're all right.
no, I mean the Knicks are basically it.
Yeah, I mean, like the Nets are nothing to write home about, but
no.
I mean, yeah, I mean the Knicks with Brunson and Cat, yeah, they're good, but and they're in the East, but they're not better than Boston. So
No.
that's another story for another day. But that wraps up the divisions. Look at that.
We're done. All right, that's it.
Look
No
at
more
us.
content, guys. That's it.
Look
The
at
podcast is
us.
over.
I think what we need is a round of applause, and I'm gonna give that to us.
Thank you, much
Good job,
appreciated.
Adam.
Let's round it out with some NFL trivia.
Sports trivia. It doesn't always have to be NFL.
Okay, but we're on NFL topic.
I
Well,
know,
like,
I know,
okay,
I know.
you
But
want me
I
to?
want to get you out of your NFL
All right, you know what? How about
your little
this?
bubble, you know?
How about this? Next week, if this video gets like 30 views, I'm gonna hit you with a golf trivia question. How about that?
That's fine. I'll Google it.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, golf is, I guess. Okay, I'm decent at golf. I don't know.
see,
What
like,
kind of trivia is there with golf? Who's won the most majors?
sure. I mean, like, or who's
Whose
hit?
stroke is the longest?
who's- oh my
No homo.
god.
No homo. No
No,
homo.
that's
No homo.
full homo from you. That's full homo.
Hey, you brought up golf, bro. Come on.
I guess you're right. I
Okay,
mean,
so what are we doing? You
all
have
right.
this idea for
All right, so we got a
jersey
little
numbers in the NFL.
yeah, we got a different approach to today's NFL trivia. So if you guys haven't, or if you guys are not caught up with our channel, we do sports trivia at the end, and every single episode up until now, it's kind of been, okay, I'm going to give you a list of said topic, and you have to guess 5 out of the top 10 players in each category. So if I were to say, hey, Chris, list the top 10 passers from this past year in terms of passing yards, he would have to guess 5 out of the top 10. But today is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have, do you want to roll with 30 seconds, or do you want to go with 60 seconds?
We're going 30 seconds, and I have my timer ready to go.
All right, yeah, I got my timer ready to go too. So we're going to have 30 seconds on the clock each, and we're going to list off as many names as possible from the NFL that are active players. Keep in mind, this is not all-time players. This is active players in the NFL, and we have to guess their jersey numbers correct. If we guess it correct, we get to move on. If not, you're stuck there, and you can't go anywhere. You can actually, do you want to keep it like that, or do you want to just be like pass? Do you want to do pass?
You can pass.
All right.
Yeah,
do you want to
yeah.
have a pass limit or no? Like 2, 3 passes?
I mean, you can only pass so much because you're gonna run out of time.
I guess that's true. All right.
You know
well,
what I mean?
whoever
And then
ends
you
up with the
screwed
most
yourself.
points wins. Simple as that.
Simple as that, folks. Who's going first?
My mic unplugged. All right. Who wants to go first? Do you want me to guess first, or do you want to guess first? I feel like 60 seconds would be better now. I feel like 30 seconds rolls by too fast.
30 seconds is fast. All right, we can do a minute. Okay,
All right.
so how about I put a minute on the clock for you?
Wait, say that again?
How about we do this? I put a minute on the clock for you, and I start naming players, and let's see how many you get.
All right. Let's go for it.
Okay, so,
Tell me when you're about to start the timer.
okay, give me a second here. Drum roll, please.
Give me
No,
a
we don't have a
countdown.
drum roll. Never mind.
Nah.
I
Give
don't
me a
know why I
countdown.
always ask for a drum roll. Okay, countdown. Ready?
Yeah.
3. Hold on.
Oh my god. You're icing me like a kicker.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Fred Warner.
54.
Okay, that's correct. How about Zach Martin?
67?
Nope.
68?
Nope.
Pass.
Pass?
Yeah.
Okay. How about Zach Ertz?
Oh, 12? 14? 15?
No way, dude.
No?
No way.
I thought he was a low. Okay,
No.
pass.
Pass?
Yeah.
Pass on him too?
Yes.
Okay, Max Crosby.
98.
98. Okay, that one's good. Micah Parsons.
11.
That was easy, bro. I don't know why I gave you that one.
Hey, you're wasting
Trevor
my time.
Lawrence.
Pass.
Pass?
Yeah.
Okay. Saquon Barkley.
28. 23.
No.
22.
3 seconds.
Pass.
2 seconds.
All right, one
no.
more. What the? That's way too fast. I got
No,
what,
that
like
was a minute, dude.
3 or 4 correct?
You got 3 correct. That was a
There's
minute.
no
look.
way. That is. You were wasting my time too. You were like, pass? Are you sure? Do you want to pass? You wasted like 10 seconds after
Hey,
Zach
I gotta
Martin.
be sure, dude.
Oh,
did
my-
you say pass?
Yeah.
You gotta make sure you said it.
Oh my god.
What if I switched to the next player and you weren't ready? So
That's
So
crazy.
you got three right.
There's no way. You took way too long on them. You were like, "Are you sure? Do you want to pass? Do
Hey,
you want to pass?"
hey, I had to be sure, dude.
Wow. Okay, that's
Those are some
sabotage
good
right
names,
there.
though. I gave you some good names, though.
Okay, what number is Zach Martin, please? I swear he was like in the 60s.
70.
Oh man.
And then Zach Ertz is 86.
Okay, see, I thought he was a low number. I thought he was like
Yeah, and then
16.
Saquon is 26.
26. I said 23, huh?
Yeah, and then Trevor Lawrence is 16.
Okay, I
I gave
couldn't
you
remember.
I gave you such easy ones.
Okay, Micah Parsons was easy. I mean, like Fred Warner I got, but
Good
Trevor
God.
Lawrence I didn't.
Max Crosby was easy too.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
That was come on, dude. And watch. Okay, all right, let's go. Put a minute on the clock for me.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right, let's go. Are you ready?
I am ready. Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Tank Dell.
10.
Wrong.
Tank Dell. 8.
Wrong.
7.
Wrong.
Pass.
Okay, Kirk Cousins.
11.
Wrong.
12.
Wrong.
10.
Wrong.
Pass.
Okay, David Montgomery.
8.
Wrong.
5.
Correct. Okay, Jordan Love.
Okay. 17.
Wrong.
14.
Wrong.
15.
Wrong.
16.
Wrong.
Pass.
Okay.
Fuck.
Terry McLaurin.
13.
Wrong.
11.
Wrong.
What? Pass. Fuck you.
Okay, Baker Mayfield.
5.
Wrong.
6.
Correct. And time.
Okay. Bro, goddamn, that shit was
Oh,
hard. I
man.
told you I'm bad at jerseys.
It's hard though, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you do? Get 3 right?
I think I only got 2 right.
You only got 2 right. Who did you get?
I got David
already forgot.
Montgomery
Okay, you got Montgomery, Baker.
and Baker.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't
Wow.
get Dell.
Okay,
What
so
number's Tank Dell?
3,
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Okay.
Cousins?
18,
Jesus fucking Christ.
and then Jordan Love is number 10.
God damn it. Yeah, you see? That shit's hard, dude.
No, it is hard, and a minute goes by super fast.
Yeah, a minute goes by so fast.
Okay,
I
so
didn't even
that-
want to pass. I was like, I'm just gonna keep guessing numbers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to pass. I should have been like, "Are you sure? Do you really want to pass?"
Hey, you won anyway. Stop
Yeah.
crying.
Hey, I finally got my first dub.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Thank you, much appreciated. Now
It feels good, huh? It feels
Yeah,
good
it
to
feels
eat a
great.
dub.
It feels good to be
I
on the
feel like
winning
Jameis
side.
Winston eating a
I
W
feel
right
like
now.
Jameis Winston. Oh man, that's a good one. Oh, so now the record stands. Mine is 1, 2, and 2. Yours is 2, 1, and 2.
Yes, sir. We're still in the lead over here. Team Chris all the way. Let's go.
Still in the lead. Maybe we'll keep the same theme next episode. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
That was hard, bro.
That was really hard. I think a minute goes by way too fast. I think what we should do
I
is
think
like keep score. So it's like we do a minute at a time, and the first person that gets to 10 wins. You know what I'm saying? It's like in the first
oh,
minute,
shit. Yeah.
if you can
That
get
would
to
have taken
10,
me forever.
right? Because like you only got 2 in the first 10 minutes.
I
So it means
only
it would have
got
taken
2
you.
in 1 minute.
It would have taken you 5 minutes to get 10.
God bless, dude. Well, yeah, but you would probably start getting to players.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously the further the list goes, I mean you're gonna bound to get 1 or 2 of them. So.
Well, hopefully, you never know. Why can't you ask Emmett Smith's number or Troy Aikman or
That's Emmitt Smith was what 22. Aikman was 8.
22, 8, and 88? Come on.
Oh yeah, Irving. I didn't hear that one.
Come on. Come on.
But yeah, I think that just about
Come
does
on.
it. Chris, do you got anything else to say before we
Come
wrap
on,
it up
man.
here?
Come on. No, that's it. Thanks for having me on again, dude. It's crazy we knocked out all the divisions. That's pretty wild.
We did.
That was pretty cool. I'm really bad at jerseys, so that sucked. But overall, good episode. Besides the audio connection, sometimes.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I apologize, guys. Hopefully, I'll try to fix it in editing, but it may or may not cut out from time to time in the episode. If it did, I really apologize about that. We're gonna work on that. We're still working.
Discord,
on everything.
step your game up, Discord.
Hey, don't blame Discord, all right? Discord's pretty solid.
I'm blaming. I have to blame somebody. I'm not gonna blame myself. I would never do that.
Why would you never? You got to take initiative. You got to be like, you know
Yeah,
what?
there's no self accountability over here, dude.
Self
We don't do
accountability.
that. We don't hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me. But I think that just about does it. Thank you guys for listening once again. Episode number 5 in the books. Episode 6 will be next week. We upload weekly. We've been on a month stretch, or technically it's been a month. Technically it's been 5 weeks. However you want to look at it, it's been a month, give or take. But that just about does it. Go follow us on social media. It's Adam, it's Chris. It's all in the link in bio if you check out the Instagram. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube. So if you don't have any subscriptions to either one of those, you can go check it out on YouTube. YouTube is free. It's free to follow, it's free to like, it's free to comment. Right, Chris? All that's free. Nothing costs
Free
you
to
any
like,
money.
comment, subscribe, and share. Costs you nothing but your digital
Costs you
currency.
absolutely nothing except for 30 seconds of your time. But thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys did enjoy, drop a follow, drop a like, and we are out. Peace.